Rumors are that allegedly Kenya and Martell had a big, nasty fight. Who won? What was it about? And how does Sheree feel about all of this? Well, I have some new information that may answer all of those questions and more right after this. What's up, kinfolk, and welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, do me a favor and subscribe. And if you already are subscribed, do me a favor and get notified so you'll know whenever I upload new videos to the channel. Alright, kinfolk, come on into the house. We have a lot to talk about, and it centers around rumors that allegedly Martell and Kenya had one big nasty fight. What was it about? And who won? And what does Sheree have to say about all of this? I have some new information that may answer all of those questions and more. And here it goes. Rumors are that this season of Real Housewives of Atlanta won't be short of any major fights. Sources say that this season is sure to be a knockout and more. The source also continued by saying that one of the most shadiest and most nastiest fights allegedly takes place between Kenya and Martell. The source said it was one of the rudest fights this season. Accusations were flying everywhere. At one point, something so rude was even said that the ladies thought it was a bridge too far and completely off-brand for Real Housewives of Atlanta, ended the source. Another source said it was clear that Martell was out of his league when arguing with Kenya. So, I was told he then resorted to some low blow comments towards Kenya that were completely tasteless and disrespectful. So, the question was, how did Sheree take all of this drama between her good friend and new boyfriend? Well, an insider said Sheree was completely detached from all the drama between Kenya and Martell, and simply because she didn't want to have to choose a side. Allegedly, the other ladies urged Sheree to step in and correct Martell once his insults got too disrespectful and personable. But Sheree declined to do so, said the source. However, someone close to Sheree's camp who wishes to remain anonymous said Sheree did correct Martell behind closed doors regarding his less than gentlemanlike behavior towards Kenya during one of their many verbal altercations. Another industry insider said, it's going to be extremely interesting to see how production edits these fights. Between Martell and Kenya, they tend to go on for hours. Allegedly, they have several run-ins throughout the season that some people close to production say could actually cast them both in a negative way. But how so? Sources say there are allegedly many instances where Kenya was completely out of line butting into Sheree and Martell's relationship, resulting in Martell getting frustrated and snapping on Kenya. Also, said the source, there are moments where Martell wasn't treating Sheree the way she deserved to be supported, considering her last very public fair relationship. This is where the sources say is where many of the times Kenya stepped in to defend Sheree as one of her closest friends. Also, all sources agree, whether you are Team Kenya or Team Martell, there will definitely be plenty of opportunities for fans to either defend or deny them both. Now, kinfolk, when this information came across my desk that Kenya and Martell have been sparring verbally throughout the season, throughout filming this upcoming season of Real Housewives of Atlanta, I wasn't surprised. And I wasn't surprised because of this reason. One, Kenya is very protective of Sheree. This is something that we have seen materialize over the past couple last seasons. Even when Sheree wasn't on the show, Kenya in public seemed to very much defend Sheree and always put out an olive branch to Sheree for her to come back on the show. And so once Sheree was back on the show officially, we really saw what a lot of people knew behind the scenes. We really saw their relationship really blossom on camera. And we also saw how protective, almost overly protective, Kenya is over Sheree. Now, a lot of people feel like Kenya is very overly protective of Sheree, simply because, one, she understands how you could be in a relationship with someone and they try to exert power and control of you and try to make your life miserable. So, a lot of people feel like Kenya's overprotective nature of Sheree comes from that. Also, my sources are saying that Kenya feels like Sheree is someone who behind the scenes has been taken advantage of by some of the ladies in the past and not always given a fair shake for her time on the Real Housewives of Atlanta franchise. And that's something that Kenya also sympathizes with because she understands how much of a bully some of these ladies could be to one another, especially off camera and away from the eyes of the public. So we have been told, at least my sources are saying, that Kenya has for a long time been one of Sheree's biggest cheerleaders, and this season that does not change. However, there is another part of this rumor why I can kind of see why Kenya is also very protective of Sheree, and it's this. You know, Martell does not have a very squeaky clean dating or relationship or marriage history altogether. We've seen several seasons of Martell on Love and Marriage Huntsville and how he treated Melanie, how he treated the mother of his new child, and how he's just been towards women in general. Now, I will say this about Martell. We only see about maybe each week probably a total of maybe 15 or 20 minutes of his entire life throughout the year. And so it's not to say that Martell is just fundamentally a bad person. It's just that the edits that he's receiving or has received on Love and Marriage Huntsville does not paint him in the best light. So I can see why Kenya would be ultra protective of Sheree in this new relationship with Martell, simply because, you know, if history is to repeat itself, then it seems like Sheree may have another hard time with Martell. And this is not too far-fetched to believe, especially considering Martell's age and considering the type of men Sheree has historically known to attract. So with that being said, I can see why Kenya would be overly protective of Sheree in this instance as she enters into this new very shady relationship with Martell. But kinfolk, I will say this, Sheree has said that Martell, you know, to his credit, is nothing like what people have seen on Love and Marriage Huntsville. I think she just said that recently in an interview last week or the week before last. I guess giving some hope that he's not like the other guys that she has chosen in the past, but you never can tell with Sheree. Now, I will say this about these alleged big verbal altercations between Kenya and Martell and why we may see a lot more of them. And it's for this reason. Martell is known to not be afraid to fight with women. Verbally, not physically. We're not going to go that far because I have never heard of him physically fighting a woman or anything like that. But however, Martell is not afraid to go up against a woman verbally, and he is not afraid to play mind games when it comes to women. And we saw a lot of that play out with Melanie. The thing between Melanie is that Melanie is a very smart woman, and she knows Martell. And she knows the kind of games he plays. She knows the kind of tricks that Martell plays. And she understands how he tries to exert a mental influence over a situation to better that situation and that outcome for himself. So with that being said, we're going to probably see Martell try to pull out the big guns when it comes to Kenya and her and him going back and forth with one another in terms of, you know, Sheree and Kenya being overprotective of her. And I will say that, like my sources are saying, that Martell is up for a big mental challenge when it comes to Kenya and trying to go up against her in a shade fest or trying to get one up on her with his comebacks, I would say, simply because sources are saying that behind the scenes and on camera, Kenya, of course, is just wrapping Martell up constantly because she just sees through all of the BS that he sometimes can portray. Another very interesting thing about this Kenya and Martell dynamic that someone behind the scenes told me about, which I find very interesting, is this. My source told me that one of the most interesting things about Martell and Kenya and their alleged arguments and verbal altercations is that Kenya reminds Martell a lot of Melody. And my sources are saying it is just so obvious to the point to where it's like he might as well just call Kenya male, because when they're arguing, it almost just mirrors how he and Melody would argue as well. And my sources are saying that Kenya does argue with Martell from a very logical and very direct standpoint. And my sources are saying that is what really gets Martell at the end, because a lot of times Martell does not argue from a logical standpoint. Sometimes my sources are saying that it appears that Martell is not even arguing from a realistic standpoint or an emotional standpoint. It seems like there are things that he just pulls out of air that he thinks is happening and tries to build an argument around that. The problem with that is when you have someone as smart as Kenya, she's able to call BS on all of those things. And to be able to, and she's able, what my sources are saying, to read Martell very clearly. Something that the sources are saying that frustrates Martell the most. Because it seems as if one of my sources is saying that Martell is just so used to mentally challenging and corrupting women's minds to where he can get the things that he wants from them. And it is frustrating because that is just not working with Kenya. And I'll be perfectly honest with you, kinfolk, it probably will never work for Kenya, especially after she let her guard down with Mark and she saw what that got her. She would probably never let her guard down for another man like that, and especially one she is not dating or married to. So Martell, I think, is definitely in a long run with a lot of run-ins with Kenya if he tries to play those mind games with her. Now, kinfolk, is another part of this rumor that I find very interesting. And it's this. I think that Martell is very protective of Sheree because Martell understands the value that Sheree brings to his brand and to him as a person. You know, for all intents and purposes, Sheree is Real Housewives of Atlanta royalty. Sheree is Bravo royalty. She is an OG of one of the network's, or if not the network's most successful Real Housewives of franchises. Sheree is known literally around the globe. And so for Martell to attach himself to an internationally known brand that is Sheree, it really does solidifies him and certifies him as a reality TV show heavyweight. And so I think he understands that, and why it may be actual love. Who are we to say? But it may be, even though it may be actual love and mutual admiration and respect, in the back of my mind, and a lot of sources somewhat confirm this, it is the fact that he is very protective of Sheree because Sheree brings more to the table in their relationship than he does in terms of a professional reality TV show career. It's Sheree Whitfield. You're going to always be talked about in the blogs, the press. You're going to always be the topic of conversation whenever you're seen with her, whenever she's seen with you, whenever y'all post pictures, videos, on vacation, the whole nine. This is a lot of great exposure for Martell. And we're going to give it the benefit of the doubt. Let's say he has found true love. Then that's the icing on the cake for him. So I really do believe that of all of the lessons that he's learned from Love and Marriage Huntsville, I think those lessons have ultimately made him very protective of his relationships, especially this one with Sheree moving forward. Now, kinfolk, the last thing I want to say about this rumor that my sources have pretty much confirmed for me is this. Like I said earlier, I've been told that there are going to be a lot of fights between Martell and Kenya. We may not even get a chance to see all of them because we've heard that they're literally a fight or argument, a verbal argument every time they cross paths. And that's just to be expected, especially when you're filming a reality TV show. It's all about making a scene. And so when you have two individuals who pretty much butt heads on every single thing, it's going to be very easy for them to make scenes. I mean, King could probably come into a party and tell Martell hello, and it's an argument. You know, I don't like the way you said hello. You didn't say hello when you first came. You said hello to Sheree first and then walked the room and then came back to me and said hello. I don't like that. Because we know Martell is very verbal about those things, or when he feels like he's being slighted. We've seen that time and time again on Love and Marriage Huntsville. So I do believe my sources when they say that we are in for a wild ride when it comes to Kenya and Martell and their arguments. One of which I just don't necessarily think I blame Sheree for staying out of it for right now. Because my sources are saying that one fight did get a little disrespectful with comments. The other ones have been pretty much light shade, and if they did get intense, both parties seem to back away before it got out of control. So for now, I think it is best for Sheree, you know, just to stay out of it and probably correct Martell behind the scenes, if you believe that's what she's doing. Because right now, all of this is just rumors and, you know, speculation and alleged information. But I am going to give Sheree the benefit of the doubt in saying that I do believe that whenever there are issues with Martell and Kenya and they get out of hand, I do want to believe that Sheree does correct Martell behind closed doors and away from the cameras. However, I don't know how long that approach would last, if true, if we're seeing Martell disrespect Kenya more than we're seeing her disrespect him. Fans are probably going to start to call for Sheree to step in and put an end to it, or to leave Martell altogether. So that's a very dicey game Sheree could be potentially playing. But kinfolk, I want to know what you guys think. If you are to believe these rumors that Martell and Kenya are having these big, huge, nasty fights, do you think that Kenya is right for stepping in and protecting Sheree? Or do you think she just should leave Martell and Sheree's relationship alone altogether and just support Sheree from a distance? Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Alright, kinfolk, if you enjoyed this video, as always, please like, share, subscribe, and comment. And I'll see you guys over on the next one. Peace.